You know what time it is. You know what time it is. You know what time it is. Matthew Mania, the time is his.
Welcome to the Matthew Mania Podcast. I'm Matthew Maschler, real estate broker who watches wrestling as if it's my job. And with me, the co-host of the Matthew Mania Podcast. He is the former, and still the first ever, but former BRCW Cruiserweight Champion, Neil the Heel Glazier. Hi, Neil. How are you?
Hey, Matthew. How you doing?
I'm doing good. And I heard that you brought in a very special guest for us today.
The best.
Before we start, though, I want to ask, are you comfortable? Do you need a water?
No, I'm good for now.
You're good?
Yeah.
All right. Then let's bring out our special guest.
Let's do it. All right. Our special guest. Today we have a true legend in the house. He is a WWE Hall of Famer, one of the most recognizable figures in wrestling history, and he just so happens to be the commissioner of Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. Please welcome the one and only Brutus The Barber Beefcake. Hey, Brutus.
Oh, Thank you for such a great introduction there, man. Let me just say first, right off the bat, that it is my honor, believe me, to be associated with such great people as BRCW, as Matt, and you too, Neil. Just tremendously great people, and it's just an honor to be associated with you and to be part of the BRCW family.
Thank you so much, and it is, of course, an honor to have you not only involved in BRCW, but as a great friend as well.
So for those that don't know, I've met Brutus a few times at meet and greets, at wrestling events, etc. But I think it was back in 2019. Brutus, when were you inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame?
2019, yeah.
So in 2019, after the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, we happened to be at the right place at the right time, and we were celebrating with Brutus and his wife, Missy, Brutus's induction into the Hall of Fame. And we had a wonderful, wonderful night. I'm sure it obviously had to mean a lot to you. Tell me, what was it like being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame? What was that day like for you?
It was pretty amazing. It was, I had partnered with Greg Mountain and been the champion, and then Greg got inducted in 2005, and they just kind of left me hanging. And I was like, wow, okay, well, I wonder what's going on there. It's okay. I'll wait my turn. But it just took so long, Matt. And honestly, you probably didn't even know this, but someone pranked me in like 2011 from the WWE office, called my home at the time, which was in Boston, and told everybody that I was being inducted into the Hall of Fame. So the whole family, everybody got all excited and everything, and it turned out to be a prank. And I tell you, my heart, I was so excited that this was, it seemed like a long time coming, and then to have it turn out to be a joke. And I was hurt. I was really hurt.
That's not a prank. That's mean.
Yeah, that's not a good rib.
Do you know who it was?
I still don't know who it was. But at that point I was like, I guess if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. I feel real good about my career and the things that I've been able to accomplish, and the friends that I've made along the way. And that was just as important to me as being, in the Hall of Fame. That's a good thing. But, I still just kept trying to keep my chin up and forge ahead.
So it was 3 years ago that we started Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. May of 2022 was our very first show. Brutus was at the first show, right, Neil?
He was.
Yeah. So it's
from the beginning.
Been at every show, and it was 3 years ago when we did our first show, and we had Brutus there as our commissioner, and we didn't know from that first show what would happen next. We meant to do a show. We didn't mean to form a company.
Can I just say real quick? It's actually 3 years ago. In 2 days, it'll be our 3-year anniversary of our first show. Yeah. On May 15th.
But on May 15th, because it's 2 days from when we're recording, but yesterday from when we drop. So May 15th, 2022, the third anniversary our very first show, and you know, when we talked, I wanted to bring in a legend. So I wanted to, in my vision of the show, you know, it was current wrestlers to wrestle, but I wanted to bring, and let's say like a dad brought their kids, right? I wanted to bring something that if you weren't current on wrestling, and just to tie it together with the classic days, right? So it was, my first call was to Brutus, and I said, Brutus, you know, would you be the commissioner of the show we're doing? And we were already friends at the time. He'd been to some other charity events that we had, and when we had those charity events, you know, it was great to watch someone, like I would see someone meet you and just turn into a little kid.
That was Brutus Beefcake.
Yeah. And then,
that is wonderful. You guys, it was really cool. I just got a chance to be involved with the business because I stepped aside, retired in 2016, and really, you know, from the standpoint of being involved in a group or organization, I really didn't see that coming. And when you guys approached me about being the commissioner and being right here in my home state, let's face it, there's a million guys you could have called, I'm sure, that would have been happy to do that job. And I felt so honored that you guys, you know, thought enough of me that you thought I could contribute and make your product a little better. And you know, and I'm just happy to be part of the family there.
Yeah, and you were the first call, Brutus.
Absolutely.
That's amazing. That's fantastic.
But I have a question for Brutus. I don't want to jump all over the place, but Brutus, you've had such an iconic career in pro wrestling. When did you first know this was the path you were destined to take?
Well, you know, the funny thing is, I started back in 1976. You know, I tell that to people, and they say, "Well, yeah, I was born in 1990." I go, "Wow, okay." You know, I worked for Vince McMahon Sr. in the WWF back in the late 70s, and got to be mentored and meet are the greatest wrestlers that ever, you know, stepped into the ring, and so many greats, so many legends, so many champions, and it made a difference. And I struggled for 7 years, Neil, Matt. I mean, literally trying this and that, going to different territories all around. And when I finally got a chance, a break at the WWF in 1983, then when I really got a chance to show what I could do, and when the people, the reaction of the people, and when they saw, you know, how people reacted to me and what I was doing, then I knew I had come home to the place where I was really going to be able to shine and show off my abilities and what I had to offer the company and the world, and started traveling the world, and it's been such an amazing ride, and you know, and then getting to meet guys like you guys right here at home, my home state of Florida. Where I'm born and raised Florida boy all my life, and then being able to come and be a part of an organization that's so much fun. It's just so many great people that you guys have been able to pull together. It amazes me, because believe me, I worked independently around the country for 17, 18 years, and I still, to this day, I've never seen another organization that can come close to what you guys have done.
Thank you.
You know, I'm inspired doing the show by the people I'm with, right? Like bringing you in, like, I need to, not that I could think of myself on your level, but like, if I'm bringing you in, I have to bring you into something that's worthy of you, right? And the wrestlers that I have, when I bring in a wrestler like a Matt Taven or a Matt Riddle, or a commentator like a Matt Raywald.
It's a lot of Matts.
I was just thinking it's a lot of Matts. But.
We have other guys on the show not named Matt.
Yeah, so Tyler Breeze, let's say. You know, if I'm going to bring in Tyler Breeze to wrestle on my show and be on my show, like, and not that I think I'm on the same level as any of those guys, but I have to have a platform that's worth it. And sometimes what I see in independent wrestling isn't. It's not a platform that could be talked about in the same breath as the talent that I'm bringing in, and that's what inspires me and what I've created. And I hear about a lot of people give me the platitudes about my show, but what I've created is because I'm inspired by the people I'm surrounding myself with. I'm surrounded by great people, so it makes me want to be great, and it makes me want to make a great product. And it's just I'm living my best life. I just love it, and I love creating.
Yeah, well, you have done a stellar job at this, my friend. And a lot of people ask me first, say, do you watch the WWE? Do you watch the product on TV today? How do you feel about it? And I say, well, yeah, I don't keep up with it a whole lot. I'm just really step back. But then at the end, when they say, well, is there anything you kind of like to plug? I go, well, yeah, I want to talk about my position as commissioner of the BRCW group right in Florida here, and I get to brag about you guys and brag about our company and brag about all our tremendous talent and great people, and so it's actually something I never saw coming, and it's become a regular part of my life, which I enjoy immensely.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm always looking forward to my next show. So this should drop right before our May show, BRCW Underground, and then our August 31st show, Summer Smash. Just to give you a little flavor of Underground, we weren't planning on doing a May show. I needed to create, and there were people that wanted to be on the show, and August seemed so far away. My idea was just to do kind of a low budget, grimy, gritty Underground. I lost the venue that I wanted to do. I took too long, and I lost the venue that I wanted to do. So we ended up back with our friends at the studio. So it's going to be the same as all my other shows. There's nothing underground about it. But really, I'm really focused on and thinking about Summer Smash, and then also setting our winter dates. Now that the Miami Dolphins schedule has been released, I want to create my winter dates. Check out my winter dates.
Yeah, that is a crucial being able to identify dates and not have to compete, against the Miami Dolphins and for football is it's just only a very smart thing to do, because a lot of people like to go to the football, but they love wrestling, and so not making them have to choose is just an easy thing to do.
And sometimes I make sure to not compete against a home Dolphins game, but there are sometimes when there's an away game and some of my audience either stays home to watch it on TV or travels to the away game. We have a few people that like to travel to the away games. But when last year when there was a game in Germany, Dolphins game in Germany, I'm like, oh, that's great. I could do a show on Sunday. It's like, Bob, Bob wears the mask, and Bobby coming. He's like, no, I'm going to the Dolphins game in Germany. So, November 16th is the Dolphins game in Madrid, Spain. So I'm not going to compete with that this year because I'm actually thinking about going to Madrid, Spain for that one.
Wow.
But if I don't go, the question is, do I want to do a show and compete with the Dolphins in Spain? Whereas last year I did, this year I don't want to do. We do have a small issue with Underground. What we were saying is right now our Florida Panthers are tied up in their series against the Maple Leafs.
If it goes to Game 7.
Yeah, so if the Panthers win games 5 and 6, or if the Maple Leafs unfortunately win games 5 or 6, then it'll be over in 6. But if they split the next 2 games,
theoretically you can go to 7. Game
7, at least it's Game 7 in Toronto, not Game 7 at home. But we will be competing against, and it's likely that they split the next 2 games. So we will be competing against Game 7, and hopefully that if that game is late enough, right? Our first match should be around 6. So hopefully if it's an 8:00 game, maybe people will skip out.
I'm not real worried. I think we have a real loyal fan base. They really love they love our wrestling. They love coming out to see it. And, and they can always hit record on their player at home and watch it. After they come to the matches, they get to, get out there and scream and yell and let out some stress off themselves, and have a good time, a good, safe time, a family-friendly place and everything. And in this crazy world we're in these days, that's an important thing. You can take your kids and feel comfortable and feel safe and have fun. That's a big deal.
I'm really glad you said that. The first half of it is, I'm so stressed and worried about the 2 out of 100 that might be interested in the Panthers game, right? Most of the people probably aren't even interested, right? So what? But that's my level of detail, right? Like I worry about everyone and everything. But you're 100% right. I don't have to worry about all that. And then, like you said, right? The second half of what you said, I'm taking as almost a compliment, right? Like what I'm producing, what I'm showing it may even be better. So yes, you hit the nail right on the head. What I'm trying to do is something that's fun and safe and family friendly. And like you said, when I see the little kids, like when they realize that they could say suck or they could say boo or they could yell and scream and not be in trouble for it, because in school and every other place, they do get in trouble for it. When I see them realize, that they can get away with at these shows, it's just pure joy. And I remember having that with my son, and I love sharing that with my community. That's why I called it Boca Raton Championship Wrestling. It's really a community, family friendly, but I really want it to be a community event, and I really want it to be a happening for people in Boca, as something to do to come down to the show and enjoy it, even if they don't watch other wrestling.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's you really, and the word is getting around, about Boca Raton Championship Wrestling, and I really I think you're doing it in a good way, and by not trying to cram it down everybody's throat by having a show every 2 weeks or every week. I mean, I think one of the biggest problems with the promotions and the people these days is they got to pay-per-view every 2 weeks or every month, and it's just they are going way too much by putting a little time in between shows and stuff. It just makes the people want to come to see you more.
Yeah.
Yep. You're not getting overexposed. They're not getting so much that they become ho hum and not care. And they, it's a month or two in between sometimes, and the people are really excited. When it comes time for the show, they're really excited to come and be there and have that good time with their, with their kids or their family, and that's just super important, when it comes to our business.
Yeah, definitely.
I actually want to ask Brutus a question, going a little further back in the business to his career, if you don't mind.
Go for it.
All right. And I'm sure it's a question that a lot of people may not know the answer to, but Brutus the Barber gimmick became one of the most memorable personas in wrestling history. Can you tell us how that character came about?
It's a pretty long story, but I'll try to shorten it up.
Yeah.
Give you the short version. It was Pat Patterson, who I know you guys know he is.
Yep.
When Brutus Beefcake came onto the scene in Vince's office, and we thought up the name, and then the next thing we'll do was there wasn't a lot of guidance. It wasn't like we had a storyboard, and they sat me down and said, okay, here's what we see, how we see Brutus Beefcake developing and this and that. And so I got the opportunity to make the decision about how I wanted to be myself, and nothing against gay people or all that, but Pat Patterson's gay, and he wanted me to be a gay wrestler from San Francisco and blah, blah, blah. And I just really didn't feel like I could do justice to that kind of a gimmick. So I went the other way and said, I'm going to be a Chippendales dancer. Because, I was in tremendous shape. I've been training every day for years and years and years to get to that point. And then, and now I thought, this is my chance. I'm going on display in front of the world. I gotta do this right. And the Brutus Beefcake burst in the scene and just became red hot. And WrestleMania 3 was just an unbelievable milestone for our business. We had 100,000 people in the arena, and I came down and cut Adrian's hair after Piper's match, and they really hadn't told me anything. I didn't know anything about this Barber thing going on, and I honestly believe it. Pat's not here to dispute this, but I think there was still heat because I had rejected his idea, and he had all the Vince's ear. If he wanted somebody to be doing something, they were pretty much doing it. And I kind of sidestepped him and took off running, and they never could catch me. And now that they dumped this, you're going to be the Barber, and then there was no presence. I'm trying to think of the word. There was nothing to go by to try to figure out where I'm going to go with it. There was no guidance. They didn't tell me anything, and I was really upset. I was like, I've worked so hard. Brutus Beefcake is tremendous success, and why do you want to change it? And I think honestly, they were setting me up to fail, because they were painting me into a corner. There was nowhere to go with this Barber thing, and I was in a old dumpy building in upstate New York, an old armory. I think they tore it down now. And I got back from a photo shoot. They gave me this white coat and a pair of scissors and a comb and said, "Okay, now you're the Barber." And I was like, "You got to be kidding me! What? There's never been a Barber or anything. Haircut matches are something you do once in a territory before you leave. You have a big feud, you get your hair cut, and you leave town." And I was like, "Whoa, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it?" And I do got to give credit where credit's due. And Hulkster, they said, "You better go find Beefcake because he's tearing the place apart." And because I really was. I was so mad that I was destroying everything I get my hands on. And he came in, "So what's going on, man?" Well, I said, "I quit. That's it. I'm done. I'm not standing for this. They can't just rip me out of of this top spot, this Brutus Beefcake now, and give me a gimmick that's impossible. There's just nowhere to go with this thing." And we sat there for a few minutes thinking everything, and Piper was kind of retiring at this point. He wasn't doing a lot of stuff. And Hulk says, "Bruce, what if you use that sleeper hold like Piper, because the sleeper hold was over. So you use that sleeper hold and you put guys asleep. And then when you go get your scissors and you come in there and you cut their hair." And I was like, wow, I started thinking, I said, that could actually work. But here's the catch. This has to be something that's written in stone, and it can't waver. It can't be just Bruce cuts a couple guys' hair, and after a few weeks, blah, 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 nothing happened. He don't cut nobody's hair. He's on. It would have fizzled out. He had to go back, being the Hulkster, had to go back to Vince and tell him what we had come up with and where the idea was going. And he bought it. And so I had to go back to the drawing board a little bit and try to figure out how I'm going to incorporate all this, this Chippendale Brutus Beefcake into a Barber. And just, I'm not using my imagination. And somehow, by the grace of God, and I truly believe that, I was able to just get so crazy creative off the wall that the people really, really responded so positively to it that I think the office, they just got blown away. They couldn't believe that I was able to pull this rabbit out of my hat, get so creative in there, and to be able to get so much enthusiasm and so many people on board with the the barber gimmick. When I first, after a few months, I figured out that I could get a big pair of hedge clippers, shine them up, wrap the handles with tape so it looks like a barber pole, come out with those things to the ring, and then and it even elevated me even further. The people just really, really loved it, and the barber gimmick was off and running. And then you know, I was just having the time of my life, and really just enjoying everything about the business. And was a champion, tag team champion with Greg Valentine, and had great. You know, got to know all the guys and wrestle so many different, really top guys and stuff, and gain so much more experience and really become, you know, that fulfill that what I wanted to do was be special. I wanted to be remembered in the wrestling business, not just a guy that he was a wrestler. Yeah, he got him, blah, blah, blah. I wanted them to say, Brutus Beefcake, yeah, wow, yeah, man, oh my God, yeah, Brutus Beefcake, that's all, yeah, that guy's unbelievable. That was what I was hoping for, and some words by the grace of God, I feel to make that happen.
And that's amazing because, you know, this Sunday at BRCW Underground or this summer at BRCW Summer Smash, you know, they will still be saying that. They will still be saying, oh my goodness, that's Brutus the Barber Beefcake.
Absolutely.
It's really incredible. Hey, Brutus, thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to see you this weekend. We're out of time here in our rental studio.
But we gotta have a part 2 with Brutus.
Yeah.
Hey, please, anytime you guys want, man, you know. Like my wife says, she says, you probably they're not going to be able to shut you up. So.
All right. I can't wait to see you this weekend. Check out BocaRatonWrestling.com, BRCW.com for short. Check us out on all social media, YouTube and Instagram. And we will see you in person and our audience. We can't wait to see everybody this weekend at BRCW Underground. This is Matthew Maschler, RealEstateFinder.com, MatthewMania.com, and BocaRatonWrestling.com.
You know whose time it is. You know what time it is. Matthew Mania, the time it says. You know what time it is. You know whose time it is. You know what time it is.